In the name of Allah, the most beneficent and merciful, I welcome you all in today's session. And today we are going to talk about supply chain management. And along with the supply chain management, obviously, our topic would be also covering the scope of demand chain management and value chain, co-creation of value. So these would be the topics that we would also be talking about. When we talk about supply chain or value chain, there are certain differences which we must be understanding. For example, the difference between a value chain and a supply chain is that a supply chain is the process of all parties involved in fulfilling a customer request, while a value chain is a set of interrelated activities a company uses to create a competitive advantage. Okay, so when we talk about value chain, there is an expression which is known as value co-creation. And the value co-creation is a management initiative or form of economic strategy that brings different parties together, for instance, a company and a group of customers, in order to jointly produce a mutually valued outcome. Now, these three concepts, value chain, supply chain, and value co-creation, would be the major topics of our discussion in today's session. And I would also like to demonstrate the difference between these terminologies with the flow sheet diagrams I have placed on the slide. The first diagram on the left side is talking about the difference between value chains and the supply chain. The supply chain is basically movement of raw materials towards the end customers in form of obviously finished products. So the stages that transform a raw material into a finished product or service and delivers it to the ultimate customer. So that basically sequence, all those intermediaries involved are the part of supply chain. And when we talk about value chain, that is sometimes the reverse flow in which allocation of price paid by consumers and primary producers, that would be the estimation of how much value was actually being created. The supply chain is more focused upon the expression of extracting value, and the value chain is more focused upon the extraction of or the creation of the value itself. Along with all this movement, there is another expression which is on the right side of the slide in this flow sheet diagram, and that is talking about transport chain. This transport chain is actually the link in between the two main flows, which is supply chain and the value chain. When we talk about supply chain, as we said earlier, that there is an upstream movement and there is a downstream movement. And when we talk about upstream movement, we are moving towards the customer side. And when we say downstream movement, we are moving towards the supplier side, which is also in strategic concerns known as forward vertical integration and backward vertical integration. So in that integration phenomena, when the products are being moved from the main producer to the customers or the clients, and the company, the organization who is making up the product is receiving the materials from the suppliers. So that would involve production cost. Then there would be the concerns of distribution efficiency. And then there would be the concerns related to the market potential as we are moving towards the customers. And on the other side, when we talk about value addition, so at the lowest level of the value addition, there is a concept known as value retention. And then there is value expansion. And from value expansion, we move towards the concept of value capture and the creation. And the physical movements involved in all these processes are actually related with the expression of transport chain, in which there are suppliers, then there are suppliers, buyers, then there are suppliers, buyers, and then there is the company we are talking about who is a manufacturing concern, and then there is our distributors, and then there are the wholesalers and the retailers, and eventually the product reaches to the customer and the consumer. Okay, so all these physical movements would be discussed under the concept of transport chain, and in that transport chain certain shippers and carriers would obviously be involved. Now, focusing more on this expression of value creation, there are two main phenomena going on. One is coming from the production perspective, and the other is coming from the value creation perspective. To explain these two perspectives, we have got two main parties in our consideration. One is the provider, who is actually the manufacturing and the production unit, and other is the customer, who is actually the center from where the value creation is being started. So the producer is the provider as a producer of resources used during the creation of a value by the customer. And when we talk about the customer, that is also taken up as the co-producer in the context of value creation. And the customer participates as a co-producer in the joint production process. And obviously, what is his role in that? That would be the feedback. And the customer's role as a co-producer is, or a co-creator, is taken up as that customer creates value during the direct interaction, but in case of joint activities with the provider in the dialogue process, this value is co-created with the provider. And the value which is coming from the customer side, that can be known as the creator of the value by the customer, and the customer is an independent value creator away from the interaction with the provider. Okay, because जो value की actually determination होनी है, that would be done by the customers. Now, if we look at the provider's role in the whole phenomena, the provider's role would include, first of all, the value facilitator, which is talking about the provider becomes a value facilitator, because that would be the person who would be actually materializing the things. And he would also be acting as the provider, as a co-creator, which means the provider may be given a chance of getting involved by the customer. The provider may be getting a chance of getting involved by the customer in the process of value creation as a co-creator. And the provider would also be taken up as value facilitator, which means provider becomes a value facilitator along with the value co-creator, who is the customer. Okay, so with a mutual and correspondence, with a mutual understanding, this whole phenomena of value is basically formulated. Sometimes even it is said that value never gets destroyed. It only takes and shape and takes itself in different forms. Okay, so value capturing, value creation, value transfer, ये तमाम चीजें जो हैं, they would be continuously prevalent in the environment in which there is certain exchange of the products and services are going on. So concluding this phenomena, we can say that when we have to talk about creating value, companies seek to develop a distinctive advantage and differentiate themselves in the mind of consumers. And the customers seek value in terms of quality, cost, flexibility, delivery, innovation, and these are all the sources of competitiveness. And these are all the competitiveness phenomena जिसके ऊपर companies एक दूसरे को beat करने की कोशिश भी वो करेंगी, so that they could have a bigger market share and they could have a bigger brand loyalty and obviously the customer response coming towards their favor. So the underlying philosophy of supply chain is to link the marketplace and the distribution network and the manufacturing process and the procurement activity in such a way that customers are serviced at higher levels and yet at lower cost. Okay, so that would be giving them basically the chance to further enhance the value aspect. जब उनको उनकी जो वैल्यू की जो प्रोपोजिशन उनके माइंड में क्रिएट होगी उस प्रोडक्ट एंड सर्विस के हवाले से, that would be higher and that would be greater. Now, we'll be talking about this whole phenomena in couple of minutes in more detail as well. लेकिन यहाँ पर आपको मैं एक evolutionary aspect दिखाना चाह रहा हूँ कि how this whole supply chain management evolved. In the 1960s time frame, when we move towards that era, हमारे पास different supply chain के जो perspectives थे, they were fragmented, and they included like the phenomena like demand forecasting as a separate thing, purchasing as a separate phenomena, requirements planning as a different field, production planning is another thing we need to talk about, manufacturing inventory, warehousing, material handling, packaging, finished goods inventory, distribution planning, order processing, transportation, customer service, strategic planning, information services, market and sales, finance involved in the whole phenomena. तो इन सब को as independent activities के तौर पर समझा और जाना जाता था. After the 1960s, moving towards the 2000, with the passage of time, हमें ये देखने को मिला कि तमाम activities जो थीं, they were actually merging, and the first chunk of the activities, which were demand forecasting, purchasing, requirement planning, production planning, these are all merged into purchasing material management. And likewise, the packaging, finished goods inventory, distribution planning, order processing, they were all merged into physical distribution. And purchasing and material management, along with the physical distribution, they all merged into logistics. And eventually, by the turn of the century, the logistics also became a part of the supply chain management, which was a bigger phenomena. During this transformation, if we move like in a 10 years duration from 1950s to 60s, 60s to 70s, 70s to 80s, 80s to 90s, तो जो different अदवार में हमारे सामने different phenomena supply chain management के हवाले से demonstrate हुए, they included, number one, from 50s to 60s, there was transitional mass manufacturing, traditional mass manufacturing. From 60s to 70s, there was the discussion related to inventory management and cost containment. From 70s to 80s, the major discussion moved towards the just-in-time, total quality management, business process engineering, supply and customer alliances. From 80s to 90s, and from 90s to 2000, when the movement is taken into account, the supply chain relationship formation and extension, that was the topic of discussion. And eventually from 2000 onward, जिस चीज के ऊपर बात की जानी शुरू हुई, that was basically related to the increased supply chain capabilities. So supply chain management, which is eventually the evolved version of all the activities combined together, उसकी अगर हम एक simplest definition देखें, the definition which I like the most, so the simplest definition of the supply chain management is that right product at the right time, at the right cost, at the right place, in the right condition. And this whole phenomena of creating the right things is also known as value facilitation. Okay, that is another expression now we are getting used to, value facilitation. Okay, so value facilitation is basically the creation of the value, the retention of the value, the capturing of the value, and obviously we have also decided that value would never get destroyed actually. So in this whole phenomena of value creation and capturing and execution, responsiveness to the needs and the wants of the customers and the buyers in the market is very important. And when we focus on the responsiveness, sometimes we have to take a trade-off between the responsiveness and the cost. And that trade-off can be in terms of the material flow, the cash flow, the information flow, and the services rendered for the particular facility. Okay, so we have to think about that to create the right responsiveness. Sometimes you have to, give away more cost. Okay, so ये एक ट्रेड ऑफ हमें सोचना पड़ेगा, और इस ट्रेड ऑफ के बैकएंड के ऊपर नो डाउट हमारे बहुत सारे स्ट्रेटेजिक रिस्पॉन्सेस जो हैं वो जनरेट हो रहे होंगे. अब इस ट्रेड ऑफ को समझने के लिए we have to move from the old paradigm to the new paradigm. The old paradigm related to the supply chain management was that the firm gained synergy as a vertically integrated unit encompassing the ownership and coordination of several supply chain activities. Organizational cultures emphasize short-term company-focused performance. ओके तो ये चीज अभी तक भी बहुत से जहनों के अंदर बहुत सी जगहों के ऊपर शायद प्रिवेलेंट आपको नजर आए, लेकिन इट हैज बिकम ऑर्थोडॉक्स नाउ इन द मॉडर्न वर्ल्ड. This is known as old paradigm. This is the old thought. The new thought evolved out of the obviously the same process. The new thought evolved is that the firm in a supply chain focuses activities in its area of specialization and enters into voluntary and trust-based relationships. Now, these two expressions were actually missing in the old paradigm, that it is a voluntary and trust-based relationship with suppliers and customer firms at the same time. Okay, so आपको upstream movement में, downstream movement में, backward integration में, forward integration में, दोनों तरफ जो है वो trust को ensure करना है ताकि आप लॉन्ग टर्म सर्वाइवल और अबव एवरेज रिटर्न जो है उसको टारगेट वो कर सको. So all participants in the supply chain benefit. So एक win-win relationship जो है वो हमें establish करने की वो जरूरत है. Boundaries are dynamic and extend from the firm's suppliers to its customers, which is like the second tier and the third tier and the fourth tier of suppliers and the customers. The supply chain now deal with reverse logistics as well. This is another new thing coming in the old thought, which is reverse logistics. So supply chain now deal with reverse logistics to handle return products, warranty repairs, and obviously the concerns related to the recycling. There is another thing we need to talk about, and that concept is known as value constellation. Now, along with the value facilitation and value creation and value capturing, another expression I'm just using is value constellation. And value constellation is directly linked with the concept of value web. Now, we are just looking at a very yum product, which is like a tasty burger. And when we are looking at this particular burger, it's not just that we have to eat it. We have to think about it, that how this actually came into existence and who were the intermediaries involved in making up this yummy thing. In the flow sheet diagram, which I have presented on the right side of the slide, we can see that there are so many intermediaries involved in the creation of one complete product. Okay, so there would be the levels related to the firm level. Then there is industry level, which may include local, international, and national level companies. And then there would be the households and the enterprises level. When we talk about these three levels and they are translated into different intermediaries related to the local, national, international, and consumer level aspects, we can see that there is fuel consumption going on. There is feed consumption going on. There is again food consumption going on. Okay, so when we look at the industry level perspectives, there are processing related to the trade and transport. There are processing related to the other material transfers, and there are processes related to the other manufacturing and trade and transport concerns. And when we look at the farm level aspects, there would be the production of maize, production of kvass, production of wood. So there are so many places which are involved in organic establishment of the ingredients so that we can come up with the right set of value. Okay, and then all these phenomena, the household enterprises, the industry level concerns, the farmhouse level aspects, all these aspects are actually interlinked, united, coordinated for making up of a product. और इस एक प्रोडक्ट के बनाने के अंदर there would not be one flow, there would not be one linear sequence. एक supply chain का हम एक linear sequence नहीं बना सकते हैं कि ये चीज बनाने के लिए there is only one line जिसके ऊपर हम एक intermediaries को place वो कर सकें. We have meat, we have cheese, we have bread, we have vegetables involved. There are so many things which are actually part of this one yummy product. Okay, so this whole value web phenomena is actually coming up with the creation of value, the capturing of value, and at certain levels, different aspects of value would be contributed and participated. This whole phenomena is known as the concept which I have just put on the heading of the slide, which is value constellation. And as you all know, the typical meaning of the word constellation is basically जैसे सितारों का झुरमुट होता है. Okay, so आसमान के ऊपर जैसे सितारे, बहुत सारे सितारे मिलकर एक certain शक्ल इख्तियार कर लेते हैं. They guide the travelers in the night, and there are so many ways with which those stars are actually communicating with us. So just like the stars in the sky, there are so many stars and they're like making up different shapes. Just like that, the value constellation concept is कि हम यहाँ पर बहुत सारे intermediaries को, बहुत सारे sources को visualize करते हैं कि एक product के बनाने में how all of them are actually participating and contributing. Now, let me just give you some visual displays of the examples I have given you so far, that how the supply chain phenomena is actually taking place. उस मकसद के लिए दो organizations मैंने आपके लिए select की हैं. One is the Zara and the other is the FedEx UPS discussion, जिसमें कि हम courier companies की एक supply chain network को वो in depth देखेंगे. To start from my example, let's see how Zara is actually materializing the things.
Zara has more than 2,000 stores worldwide, and its shops are located in prime retail areas where human traffic is high. Zara's strategy is to adapt its offer to the different markets. Zara adapts its items in each country according to clients' needs, fashion trends and store sales. This flexibility is Zara's secret to success and lies in the extensive network of shoppers with feedback given from a wide range of people from different cultures and generations. Therefore Zara's very reactive, withdrawing designs if they're largely unpopular. With 1,000 designs a month, Zara often updates its collections according to sales reported to Spain. This quick turnover helps to continuously provide new designs by making them available in stores through shipments every 2 weeks, attracting customers to often visit the shop. Indeed, Zara has very little inventory because of its demand-based production, pushing customers to hurry to the shops before they run out of stock. This also allows Zara to have a cost-effective production by lowering its storage cost. Through vertical integration, Zara can operate a fast distribution of products thanks to its own efficient supply chain. Finally, Zara copies new styles that are trendy and fashionable, inspired by luxury brands but that remain at an affordable price. Zara is faster than its competitors in terms of interpreting trends that are on the runway from higher-end designers thanks to the right teams of professional designers.
All this is because of its business model, which includes an everlasting circle of design, sourcing and manufacturing, distribution and retailing. Let's discuss each of the fronts individually. Zara's designers don't work in silos. They are in constant touch with the customers. They design nearly 40,000 products, out of which 12,000 designs reach the store. This is the key to fast fashion. $80 to 90% of the production takes place in Europe, out of which around 50% is produced at the Cube, La Coruna, the headquarters. The fabrics are mainly sourced from Italy, France and Spain. Computer-aided design and CNC cutting softwares are used for optimum fabric utilization. Designing and cutting is done in-house, whereas a major part of stitching is done by subcontractors in their workshops. The stitched garments are received back at the headquarters, where a final quality check is undertaken with each lot being checked. After quality check, the garments are sent for packaging. The entire packaging process is performed with the help of state-of-the-art machinery with minimal human intervention. The garments received at the warehouse are matched with the requirements placed by the stores and coded respectively. Folded clothes are packed via carousel, a conveyor belt machine especially designed for Zara, whereas the hanging clothes are packed by matching the batch codes with the garment codes. The packed consignments are strategically clubbed depending on the geographies to economize on the cost. This technology integration helps in expedition of the logistic process. Zara has a unique philosophy in retailing. Though its garments carry an affordable price tags, but its stores are as grandeur as any other brand. They have stores in the most premium places in the world which are very well maintained and controlled. Zara even has a prototype store at the headquarters wherein they test the placements of garments and then replicate the same all around the globe. They place complementary goods together to help customers decide on a combination. This high level of standardization and unique philosophy of retailing allows them to serve its customer well.
So we have just seen the example of Zara, that how actually they are making the garments and how they are actually distributing the garments across the globe. And we have seen that एक पार्टी नहीं है उसमें इन्वॉल्व, वहां पर कस्टमर फीडबैक्स भी हैं, वहां पर डिजाइनर्स भी हैं, वहां पर स्टिचर्स भी हैं, वहां पर जो गारमेंट का जो फैब्रिक आ रहा है वो लोग भी सप्लायर्स के तौर पर ऑपरेट कर रहे हैं. सो देयर इज अ कंप्लीट कंसर्न ऑफ वैल्यू कॉन्स्टिलेशन. जिस वैल्यू कॉन्स्टिलेशन से गुजरने के बाद इवेंचुअली द कस्टमर्स आर एंजॉयिंग द ब्यूटीफुल गारमेंट्स इन the market and as well as enjoying themselves, कि वो किस तरीके से उस ओरिएंटेशन को अपनी जिंदगी का पार्ट वो बना रहे हैं. We have another example in the same sequence, जिसमें कि हमें value creation, value capturing, value constellation, value facilitation, right product, right time के ऊपर किस तरह से deliver की जा सकती है, इसके ऊपर हम अपनी एक detail description वो देखेंगे, which is related to the courier services like FedEx and the UPS के example अभी हम go through करेंगे. And for that matter, I want you to join the next Zoom meeting because our current session time is ending. So please hurry up and join the next Zoom meeting.